Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise. And before I get into my review for this week, I've got to tell you who my favorite actor is. My favorite actor this week is Jodie Foster. I have enjoyed thoroughly her acting talent since she was a teenager. And Taxi Driver, The Accused, and Silence of the Lambs are three of my favorite Jodie Foster movies. And in each of those movies, you really can see just how talented she is. From Taxi Driver as a 12-year-old prostitute to a rape victim in The Accused, and a very, very, very frightened Clarice in Silence of the Lambs with Anthony Hopkins. So she is my favorite actor this week. All right, moving into my review. My review this week is The Smashing Machine. This movie stars Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, and Emily Blunt. And this movie has a running time of about 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 2 minutes long. But this is a true story, or based heavily on a true story. And it's about MMA fighter Mark Kerr, who reaches the peak of his career, but along the way he does, have personal hardships that he has to deal with and overcome. And so in this movie, you see this MMA fighter who is just, first of all, massive. Between the prosthetics and all of the other cosmetic things that Dwayne Johnson went through in makeup to become this character is really, really impressive. So much so that for me, as I'm watching him in this role, I can hear Dwayne Johnson's voice, but the makeup is so well done that I don't see him, if that makes sense. He just morphed into this physical being that is Mark Kerr. So the movie does not shy away from his drug abuse. It is quite evident, and you see this early on in the film. So, he's addicted to, painkillers, because obviously his job requires him to, beat people up, and in turn he gets beat up too. So there you go. You've got, the pain that comes along with that, and he is injecting painkillers into him. And every time that I saw him pick up a needle, I just hid my eyes because I don't like needles, and I just did not want to see that part. But he is very well known. He's very popular. He's got a winning streak that is unmatched. And so he has a bout. And in this particular bout, before, these fights occur, you have all the rules. This happens in Japan. So he's interviewed before the match, and he's asked, how did you prepare, et cetera, et cetera. Are you ready up for this fight? This guy you're getting ready to fight is really, really good. And, you haven't lost yet. What would happen if you did lose? And he's like, dude, I don't lose, basically. And, so the interviewer is kind of like, but, there's a possibility that this could happen. And he's just like, no, I don't lose. I'm not going to. I don't even think in those terms. So I cannot even answer your question because I never think I'm going to lose. So you fast forward, and in this particular match, the rules are broken by the opponent, and in very dramatic fashion, very painful to watch, kind of graphic. And so afterwards, he's got to deal with that. And so along the way, so you've got this fighter who is, really good at what he does, but can't accept fully a loss, and especially a loss of great magnitude. And so he also has a relationship with his then girlfriend, who's played spectacularly by Emily Blunt. She is that girlfriend. I'm here to support you. What do you need? I'm here to give you a massage. I'm here to make your smoothies. I'm here to do this, your support system, blah, blah, blah. And so you see this very caring individual who kind of bends over backwards for her man. I just want to be there for you, whatever you need. But then you also see there are times when that comfort and that care and that compassion is not received well by Mark Kerr. So of course that puts his girlfriend in a situation where, like, dude, wait a minute, I just did this, that, and the third for you, and now you're kind of, shutting me out. So you have a situation where when he shuts her out of his, pregame prep, or, I'm really in my head and I'm trying to get ready for the match, and she comes in and she wants to, love him up and give him support, and he's like, no, I'm in a different space right now, and you're in my space, and you're crossing a boundary now. And so they have that type of relationship where she doesn't quite get that, but he also doesn't quite get that I'm just trying to be supportive, and we need to, work on this. He ends up in rehab because of his addiction. And once he is released from rehab and he's trying to get himself together, get all the drugs out of the house, throw them in the trash, get him away from me. I'm a new person now. I'm trying to reinvent myself. She takes an Advil, and that just, sends him into a tizzy. So they have arguments. Their relationship is volatile. They have arguments over little things. Little things, something very small turns into something very huge. And so you see a lot of that in this movie. So as the movie progresses, he does re-enter the ring to fight again. I won't tell you how it plays out, but he does successfully finish rehab and realizes that, hey, if I'm going to get back into this world of fighting, I need to approach it a different way. So he has a trainer with whom he spends a lot of time with, lives with, and it's like, hey, if we're going to do this, you got to do it my way, and this is the thinking that has to go on, and this is how we have to approach it. And the trainer knows that this little side, your little girlfriend here, we can't have her, in your headspace. So you've got all of those dynamics coming together in this film. A very, very, very volatile fight occurs. And when I say fight, verbal fight between him and his girlfriend happens, later in the movie. And it's really explosive and scary. So that just gives you an idea of how their relationship thrived, if you will, or what made their relationship what it was. So that's basically, the movie. You see interviews with Mark Kerr, and you see different fights. You see him preparing for fights. You see him in rehab. You see him getting better. You see him in all these different scenarios with his girlfriend when everything is hunky-dory and going well, and when everything is falling apart. And then you've got his support system in a best friend who was with him every step of the way, and a trainer who was no nonsense and there for the business of getting you back into the ring. I thought the casting was really good. I think everybody played off of each other really well. It looked normal, like, you know, it didn't look forced. The chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, really, really good. Dwayne Johnson and his trainer looked very natural and believable. The relationship between him and his best friend, very, very believable, and an interesting story. So you're going to have to stay for the credits so that you see how his life moved on, you know, beyond this particular era. This movie took place between 1997 and 2000. So that's the era that we're talking about. So the credits will give you a little bit more info as to what happened post 2000-ish. So there you have it, in theaters now. A good movie. I really enjoyed it. And one of the best Dwayne Johnson movie roles I have seen. So there you go. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It this week. And my Nailed It this week is Glenn Turman. Glenn Turman was the happy-go-lucky, you know, ride or die BFF in the film Coolie High as a teenager, or he was playing a teenager. It's probably a very, very young adult, which was a classic film. But the film where he is a total opposite of that carefree teenager was the movie Straw. It's a Tyler Perry movie, not very good, but it was on Netflix. And his role as the manager of this particular store, he cussed Taraji P. Henson's character out 9 ways to Sunday. I mean, he was evil, he was mean, he was hateful, and I was just appalled at his behavior, but he played that role very, very well. So he is my Nailed It for this week, Glenn Turman. All right, folks, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please make sure you hit that like button. And remember, you can find me on BlueSky at HYSI. All right, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.